Hello, and welcome to another video podcast.
Don't do that.
This is gross.
If you feel like a grape and you only have raisins,
Don't do that.
you have two nostrils.
This
Okay.
wins
All
the
right.
most disgusting episode so far.
It's something that I still do, and I still do it and love it.
Don't do that.
Look, awards are great. Some are obviously more prestigious than others.
This month, coming up right here on this podcast.
Speaking of things that you may not want to know,
Come sit in somebody's lap.
Don't do that.
People know I hire talent sometimes, so I get 500 business cards at the conference too. Guess what? They stay in the room when I leave.
They wanted a British accent,
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
and I don't have any samples with a British accent. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another VO podcast. My name is Charles, and I am here with Troy, with Alden, with Jake. How are you guys doing today?
Great. I'm not sure what
We're
this
doing
little
fine,
dance move was
Charles.
I was doing, but yeah, excited to be here.
we're doing good, Charles. Next
Charles
question.
is in charge.
I was like, everybody answered at the same time, and it was a resounding, we're doing great.
Dude, it's been a dope start for the year, man. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. Oh, so speaking of good, you know what time it is? What time of year it is?
No, I was going to say it's 11:42.
Yeah, it's like,
You're like, it's
Almost
the time we're going to
lunchtime.
jump on the podcast.
yeah.
It's tax time, fellas.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah.
You said speaking
So-
of good.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good if you've prepared. I mean, even though the outcome, I think the preparation is, it's more than half the battle. But
Mhm.
like, what have you done to prepare for taxes, or have you not started? Because that's coming around the corner. Troy, we'll start with you.
I'm going next Thursday to see my accountant who'll do my taxes. So I've spent the last 2 weekends organizing, making sure everything was there. The thing that I struggle with, and I don't know if anybody else does, and my accountant told me, don't worry about it. I get random 1099s. Of course I get,
No, I know.
But you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know where they're going to come from, and they come in the mailbox, and I put them in a pile, and I'm like, well, how am I going to incorporate that into my spreadsheet that has all my income? Because every time I get paid, I log it in by the date, and it's organized. I know what I got paid net. That's what I net put in
Like
the
after
bank.
fees or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't write off fees. I don't try to separate
Right,
all
neither
that
do I. I
crap.
just
This
go
is
for
my
that. Yeah.
net income. I
Mhm.
made X. I'll pay tax
Yeah,
on X.
yeah.
But when all those come in, this year was a lot more. Last year was like maybe 4,
Yeah.
but this year was like 10 of them or
Yeah.
12 of them.
I
And
got
I'm
a
like,
stack of them in the corner.
yeah. So you're like, but I called my accountant and he said, just paper clip them all together and we're going to use your form. I'll
Right.
include them in there.
Mhm.
But I'm just going to use your tally. And that made me feel better because I work really hard to keep that stuff up and keep
Mhm.
it accurate and get all my write-offs. But
So
man,
one-
I'm always nervous to go though.
Yeah, one thing I do is whenever I get a 1099, I will go into my spreadsheet that has everything, and I will highlight that line or that client for the jobs that let's say it's $2,500, and they had 2 jobs that equaled $2,500 in 2023. Then I will find them, and then I'll just highlight green on their
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah.
That equals that amount for the work that I did for them that year.
That's a good idea.
Just so I have it organized. So then I could just scroll through my spreadsheet, and whatever comes up green, I've gotten W9s from them all,
and
Well, you've
Charles, I
given
think you
W9s and you've gotten
mentioned-
1099s.
or 1099s. Yeah.
I think you mentioned too, and I had this happen. I got a couple in. I don't know who the heck they are.
Yeah.
Because it's a different name or a
Yeah.
production company or something. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. And
Mexican cartel.
yeah.
Mm.
Well, and the thing is, the companies that we work for, maybe they have 4 or 5 companies. That's what happened to me. I got the thing. The problem was the amount that was on there did not match any of my numbers. Because, maybe it was 3 separate jobs and that was the total for the year. So I was looking for that total. I'm like, I don't even have this total And so I have no idea who this is because the name on it was like something LLC.
Yeah.
And they had their S corp, but the company that I dealt with from their emails was, let's say, like W Promote or something. So I'm looking for something and there's nothing on there, and there was a phone number to contact. And I called them, and the lady's like, "Oh yeah, we're with W Promote or whatever the company was." And she's like, "Yeah, that is our mother company or a parent company, and that the W-2's filed under the whole shebang." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And that's happened to me twice. So it's most of them will have the same company name that you dealt with, but I don't know. I think it's just because it's a tax form or something that it's just going to depend on who they or what they file, what entity they file their taxes under, and that's going to be the name that's on your 1099.
Yeah,
I keep pretty good track month in and month out of what income is coming from where. I use FreshBooks to log all of that. It has good reporting features, so I can print out my profit and loss statement. So I see very clearly what my top line is and what my bottom line is. And I send my profit and loss statement to my accountant, and I've never had any trouble.
Done.
I keep my 1099s on hand, but I mean, they're just a paper copy of part of my income, because I don't get a 1099 from everybody if I didn't make the minimum, which I think is $600 from a single source.
It's more for them than us,
Oh,
I guess.
Yeah,
it's more for them than us.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it helps the...
You don't get anything for 600 like
in fact, I had somebody call me a couple months ago, longer than that ago, from a job I did 2 years ago. They never sent me a 1099, and I made over the $600 minimum for that. And they asked if they could still send me one because they were being audited. And so, it's more for the people you've done work for than it is for you. It's important to have it for your records.
I've never had an issue.
But as far as
just report everything,
just be sure to everything, and do it every week. Do it every day if you need to.
Yeah, every day.
I do it every order that comes in.
Yeah, as soon as I turn it in,
it's easier for me to do that. I know myself. If I'm like, I'll get to it later, then at the end of the week, I'm struggling because I'm going through, 6 or 7 different ones. And I'm like, where am I? I got to put this. And it's like, where did they say they were going to pay me from? Where this and that and the other thing. It's just easier for me just to be like, okay, Charles, just do this now.
I do it when they pay me. And that way I know how they paid, et cetera, et cetera. Because, I mean, you can pull up, a lot of people use PayPal, so you can pull up PayPal, click on the received, and there they are. There's what came in this week, and I can look and see, I already put that one in there. So I start here and I work my way to the top. And then I'll jump over to Waves and look in Waves and see if somebody has paid something that I wasn't sure. But of course, all of that goes to one bank account for me, so I can pull up my bank account and look at all the deposits and see, and then match it up and make sure I'm clear. But I try to do that once a week versus on the fly. Sometimes I play catch up, and I might do it in the middle of the week if I've been really busy. But
Alden, I use FreshBooks also. And did you see that they recently changed to Stripe? I think it is. So you need to make sure you set that up.
Yes.
And the bummer part is WePay. They used to use WePay, and
I never got in on that.
Yeah, and the thing is, they changed that also.
Okay.
So I used to get paid faster, and it seems like Stripe takes a longer period. They hold the money a longer period.
Oh, wow.
But they're free, right? Is Stripe free?
I don't know. I pulled up the window when I saw that. I haven't moved forward yet.
Yeah, because I got an email that said somebody's trying to pay you. You need to complete your Stripe account. And I had seen on FreshBooks, it's like, hey, make sure you update your Stripe account because it's going to switch over by this day. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do it later. And then it happened again. That's always the do it later thing. So make sure you get that all updated.
Yeah, I do want to sign up for that because I had somebody the other day wanted to pay me with a credit card, and I was like, I know that works. I got it. Let me see. And like, you know what? I'll just send you a check. Like that. I love getting a check. It's fun to go to the mailbox.
A lot of people
and get a check.
Yeah,
I do like that.
It is fun. It's like a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, trash. trash, AARP. What? And then you keep
You're
going
not
through.
That's not funny.
I think he's making fun of us, Troy.
No.
He's definitely
I
not
signed up.
making fun of me.
Yeah,
But I'm going to tell you what I like about that part. My wife and I were somewhere eating a while back, and the cashier goes, senior discount? And I'm like, sure. You know, why not? We got 20% off our meal.
Not nice.
That ain't
Wow.
dang.
That
Time to
ain't
bust out
bad.
the stage makeup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jake's
Let's
walking
hear your
in with
old
a
man
walker
voice,
with tennis
Jake. How's
balls
your
on
old
the
man
bottom.
voice? You working on that?
He's going to streak his hair gray.
I'll take the Grand Slam. Sir, this is a Radio Shack.
Yeah, that's right.
Boy, if Waffle House will just get that discount.
Waffle House is already
Wow.
discounted, Doug. You get crap ingredients. Don't get me wrong, I love it. I'll go to town on some Waffle House, but you already getting the discount when you're going to Waffle House.
That's funny. That's funny.
So what does Jake do for taxes? How do
Shoot.
you keep up?
I don't. No, let's see.
Honesty.
Taxes what?
How do you feel about
Yeah,
that?
taxes.
spend my money.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
spend it. It's all
Taxes.
gone.
It's
I don't
mine.
say
I
nothing.
spend it. No, yeah, no.
I drive on
report.
tolls. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I write off my tolls all the time. No, I don't. I haven't really had to keep up a lot of stuff because of most of my stuff I'd booked on voices.com for the first couple of years. So it was all there. So like, when it came time to do taxes, I just, record everything I got paid within the span of that year. And then I would just go online and do TurboTax. I think I paid for like the expert help or whatever. I think it's only like $120. And most of the time, yeah, I haven't owed a whole lot. My first year when I still had two jobs, like my, working at the private jet company or whatever, plus what I made with voiceover, that was probably the most I've had to pay in taxes so far. But other than that, I mean, like I haven't had an issue this year, 2024. So going into next year, I'll definitely have a record of everything better because I'm starting to get more direct work. Last year, a lot of it's still voices, but I do have direct work. But like Troy had pointed out earlier, if you have PayPal, it's all there for you too. I don't have anything that I can't track and go back and count real quick. But again, I'm excited that I've started doing the tracking stuff this year, especially since I seem to be on this uptick and it's going to be a lot more to keep track of.
Yep.
So we'll see what it's like. I am using TurboTax right now. I don't know if I'm going to use it this year or not. I may try to use a friend's or, may try to go through an accountant my friend might be recommending. So we'll see. And then, yeah.
What's great about having an accountant is if you get audited.
Right. Yeah. I totally see the benefit.
Now, you got to carry all the evidence to them and probably walk through it. But I would rather walk through it with them than the IRS. I was audited a long time ago, and it is not fun. They combed through everything. And this was when I had a real estate business, and they busted me on mileage. And I had my mileage. I had logs. But the guy was so mad because I had produced everything he asked for, and then he started in on mileage. He goes, well, you have logs, but each entry should say exactly who you went to see.
No.
What? And it does say that in their rules and regulations, but they never really enforce it. It's usually I went, 13,008 miles to 13,019 miles, and it was a listing appointment. And they were cool with that. No, they want to know who. I need names. I need companies. I need people. I need this. And they dinged me, and I had to pay in like $7,000 that year.
Oof.
It hurt.
No kidding.
Yeah.
It hurt. So I'm really a stickler now for detail. That made me, make sure, because I tell my accountant every year, I want to make sure I'm giving you the proper detail. Like when I go to VO Atlanta, am I giving you the proper detail for how I broke down mileage and hotel and this and conference and blah, blah, blah. Am I doing it right? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
when he,
it's definitely beneficial.
And when they do, the house expenses, I've measured by the inch what the size of the studio is. I don't want to overwrite off. I don't want them to come back and say, oh, well, we measured it and it's 8 inches different. So you owe us $3,000 because you.
Right.
Would 8 inches make a
Well,
difference
maybe not that big,
or you
but
just
yeah,
round numbers?
Yeah, but what they'll do is they'll go back three years. They're going to get 3 years worth.
Oh, gotcha.
So they're going to look at, well, you wrote it off for 3 years in a row and da-da-da-da-da. So
Gotcha.
that's where they bake your rear end.
Yeah, your office size, your studio size as a percentage of your whole house, your whole household,
Yeah.
Mhm.
they're going to equal that percentage off of your electric bill, off of your water bill, that kind of stuff. Things that you would do that you would use for business,
Property tax,
yeah, and then
everything.
apply that to a tax discounter.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do keep track of that stuff too. Anything I spend for voiceover, I put it like in a little document that I keep updating year after year. I mean, there's like recurring charges currently, like any kind of subscription I have, or like Source Connect or something. I have, I write that, update that for the next year, and I try to keep track of anything. Someone recently told me, keep track of receipts. If you're having a lunch or something like that with somebody, and you talk about
absolutely.
voiceover, get that ready to go. Even doing some traveling, Charles and I were doing for the workshop recently, which we're hoping to do some more in the area. We've been getting some good feedback, and we're looking.
I wonder.
Doing.
I have a guy that's hired me multiple times. He's a salesman, and he's hired me to do voiceovers for explainer videos for his business. I play disc golf with him. Surely I can.
You talk about business?
Yeah, we talk about business.
If you talk about
that's a
business,
business meeting.
My
play
discs
disc golf?
should be paid for.
Oh, I see your discs.
hey, don't forget this one. A lot of people forget this. Your streaming subscriptions, because commercials are research. You can write those off. I write off Hulu, YouTube, Peacock TV, all of them. I write them off.
Wow, I do need to
because
suggest that.
that's part of my job is to sit and study those. And I promise you, if they say, "How do we know you do that?" Listen, the guy on Rooms to Go cannot say dollars. He says daughters. Come to
Really?
Rooms to Go and get $250. He does. It sounds like he's saying daughters. And if he's listening to this, I apologize, but it does sound like you say daughters. DOTTERS.
Real quick, how do we know that's just not part of that dude's culture?
And it could be, but he sounds like the typical announcer voice.
For what?
Rooms to Go, $299.
I wonder if that
Charles
was the production company. Like, this is the great take. This is the one we like. He said
Could
dollars.
be. It could be. Maybe it's not his fault.
Maybe.
But every night. I mean, and you guys know how some of these streaming things are. They run the same 5 commercials.
They do.
About every 15 minutes. You'll see the same ones over and over and over and over. And there's about 2 voices I recognize. And I'm like, dang, they should be cleaning up because they're on my freaking streaming.
I agree.
But I do learn a ton watching these. You know what the trends are. You know what they're booking. And not to get off subject, did you guys see that now, and Charles is the king of this, the Little Touch of Vocal Fry is highly, highly hot. Popular. It is taking over the conversational read. So if you get that little crackle in there,
that's
all
the
right.
thing, man.
You may be paying more taxes next year if you got the crackle.
That's the point. If you're hitting it hard and you're making good money, you've grown your business, this is a bigger and tougher question to answer sometimes than where I am. I have steady work, but I'm not to the point where I'm going to be in trouble if I don't dot an I or cross a T. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I guess at this point, what would be if someone was starting out in voiceover, what would be the main thing you'd want them to know about taxes, or what they should start practicing right away when prepping for taxes?
I think just keeping a log.
Track everything.
When you're very first starting,
Keep track of everything.
whatever income you get, just put it in a log.
Yeah, and maybe Excel. It's not gonna, Excel is fine.
Oh yeah.
And maybe it's not going to
somewhere that's easy for you to keep track of.
My first year, I did my profit
and maybe
and loss
it's not
in Excel.
Yeah, I do my profit and loss in Excel now because I know how to use it. I know how to put formulas in because I'm comfortable with Excel. But I would say for them that's just starting, unless they just take off like a rocket and they have hundreds of jobs their first year, which is highly unlikely, go ahead and just make a habit of writing it down, getting any information that you can, name of the company, name of the person you spoke with, their title, phone number, email, what the name of the project was, what the agreed price was, when you sent the file, when you sent the invoice, when they paid, and how much the fee was or how much you ended up getting. And I have a formula in there that calculates and it takes out whatever, and it pulls me up a list of how much money that I paid for whatever service took their percentage. And then I think the really important part is put a little note in the last cell or however you're going to do it. So on all of mine, I just put at the very end of all the information in the last cell, I just write a quick little synopsis just to remind me. Like, hey, I spoke with Paul and Linda, and he was the really cool guy that had the fishing story. We did a bunch of takes. They asked for the raw. I sent that to him at this time on that day. I've sent the invoice out, and they said net 60, whatever. They usually don't tell you what the net is, but I'll put a little note like that in there. Then if I don't get paid from them, let's say now it's been 2 months, right? Or a month and a half. If I shoot them an email just to be like, hey, just want to check up and see if there's anything else you needed on that spot that we did. And if you need another copy of the invoice, I'll send you a copy. I'll resend it over to you. And then I'll go back to that spreadsheet, and then I'll put update with little asterisks, and I'll put update in all caps. And I was like, hey, shot them an email on this date to remind them that, of this and that. And then I'll color that cell like a burgundy color. And I know that the ones that are burgundy are the ones that there's something with it that I need to recheck back up on. Yeah. And it works for me. And it was a process to start in the beginning, but now I'm like, I could just pull it up. I could tell you exactly where everything is, what everything is, who everything is.
That's good.
The sooner you put into practice
I used to do
those best practices, the sooner you develop those into habit, you're going to have an easier time with it when things pick up and get busy.
100%.
I used to do one of the things you're talking about, those personal notes. Anytime I met people personally, which this is so rare in this business, but I would flip their card over after I got done talking to them, and I'd put those notes on the back.
That's a great idea.
He goes by Jim. He loves to fish, blah, 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 blah. And then, 2 weeks later, I could pull that business card out and look at it and say, oh, yeah, that was the guy that this.
That was the guy that called everybody Doug. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Wait, who calls everybody Doug? That's
Ricky,
me for the listeners who don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, most listeners probably do not know that. I don't think we've talked about the extent of Doug. But anyway, that's not here nor there.
Inside joke.
Yeah, that's for a future episode on a thing. Jake calls everyone Doug.
Right.
Like everybody is Doug.
None of you guys have taken the next step and done S Corp, LLC, anything, correct?
I'm S Corp.
Okay, Jake does?
I'm LLC, but I think I'm S Corp too. I mean,
I'm LLC, which is registered in S Corp.
Right. Yeah, but I'm S Corp. Yeah, same thing.
So I write myself a paycheck and from the company.
Right, from my bank. Yeah. Most everything that goes. Sorry, go ahead.
Were you advised to do that at a certain point, or did you just say, I just want to do it up front?
No.
I think my dad had told me about it. Sorry about that, Doug. See, there you go. I think my dad had mentioned something about it, but it was after he had read some stuff in, I think, Robert Sigmund Polya's book or whatever. It's did I need to do it? Maybe not. But is it good to have one just to keep yourself protected just in case? Sure.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense.
I don't think you necessarily need to, but again, I'm not a tax expert. I don't necessarily think you need to.
You need to talk to somebody.
Yeah, you need to talk to somebody.
Your tax expert is the person you want to.
My guy told me, and this was just him. I mean, different tax people may tell you differently, but mine said once you start hitting six figures, you definitely want to look at an S Corp because, he said that's where you're going to get the better tax deal.
Yeah.
That's what
I haven't done it yet.
That's what my tax advisor told me.
I've gotten a refund the last 3 years. So
yeah, the first year with him, he's like, don't really need it now. Right. You don't need it right now. And then the next year he's like, now we need it. It would benefit you to have it.
I've got another, thing that I've got to talk to mine about this year because I just turned 60.
What?
At 62, I can draw early Social Security benefits, or I can wait till 65, 68, whatever. So I'm trying to have between him and another person I talk to, I want to do the math of at 62, if I draw, the difference in 62 and 65 is not much, not much per month. And over that 3 years, I can more than make that up. by taking it early, way more.
Mhm.
But what I need to understand from him this year is if I do that, how will that affect me on taxes with my voiceover
Yeah.
income? Because,
Mhm.
your Social Security stuff comes in, that's pretty much free and clear.
Well,
Mhm.
yes. There's also
And then if I'm going to add to that, it's going
Yeah.
to move me back up into a higher bracket
Well-
than where I'm already at. Although I get a refund every year, it's because I have a farm and I have a lot of write-offs
Yeah.
for the farm. And between that and voiceover write-offs, I come out
Right.
okay. But if I can add that Social Security stability into that, and where I can say, hey, hun, you just keep the Social Security check and I'll keep the voiceover money.
Yeah, I wonder. I have
Maybe.
my
I don't
question
know.
with that. My question with your situation that you have upcoming there, Troy, is I know if you take Social Security early, then you are limited on how much you can earn outside of that, right? Like, isn't there a cap?
So
I wonder.
I think
Yeah,
that's how
I wonder
it
if doing an
works.
no
S
idea.
corp, if that cap only counts what you pay out to yourself, whatever check you write yourself out of the S corp, not your business.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm wondering. And then that becomes the tax trick that a lot of people in real estate and other
Yeah,
businesses do, that they buy a car through their S
Yeah.
corp and they lease it to
Right.
themselves for $5 a
There you go.
month.
There you go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there are
that's the
things you can
contract
do.
between that
And the
person
escrow.
and
Yeah.
the company.
Yeah, he's a valuable employee. We're going to give him that car for $5 a month.
Yeah, I
And,
think I'm
you know,
looking
so,
into an accountant, man. I'm gonna tell you
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's what I
exactly.
say.
None of us
you,
are
you
accountants,
gotta,
by the way.
you need,
I'll just go ahead and
You
read
need
the
an
words
I
accountant.
think
on
they
the
already knew
screen.
that.
yeah.
They could do the accountant.
Yeah, that exactly.
the accountant.
When it gets to a point where your business is really doing things, you need to get the true advice. Don't listen to what we're saying for dang sure.
Oh, absolutely
Right,
not.
right.
Do not listen to
Yeah.
anything. We're just talking to you about our experiences and what we've encountered, but don't be going, oh, I heard this on
Right,
another
right.
video podcast. We are
Nope.
not another
We need to
tax
run like a
podcast,
anything,
all right?
disclaimer at the
anything,
beginning
yeah.
of
you
this.
should write down questions to ask your accountant from this episode.
Right.
Yeah,
Do not
there
write
you
into
go.
another VO podcast for questions
No,
about
we're not gonna
tax
have
stuff.
those
answers.
Any
Yeah.
other thing, sure, but not taxes. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
write all the questions down and give them to your accountant and be like, okay, this was all the crazy stuff they were talking about. What is valid and what is not? What do I need to do?
Yeah.
They take that paper.
Yeah, all we
Toss
can,
it.
the
Yeah.
only thing
Yeah,
we're
okay.
experts on, if anything, is what we have done. That's it.
Yeah.
And those
Yeah.
things may be flawed.
Like musicals.
anything.
I've done musicals so
And if
many
you go to the
times.
listen,
Mhm.
anything you do, the IRS is going to find a problem with it. So if
That's
they
true.
want to,
Yeah.
Yeah. If you need to know how to call bids,
There
I
you
got
go.
your back. But
Yeah.
outside
there
of
you
that,
go.
I can't instruct you on anything, but I can instruct you how to call
I don't play.
bids.
I'm not an accountant, but I played one in an e-learning video.
That's what's
Yeah.
up.
The voiceover world.
Hey, you guys I know have done some VSLs or stuff like that.
I
What's
have
some
not.
of the weirdest things that you've
I
done?
feel like they're all
that?
weird.
I know,
I've done some
right?
stuff for like crypto companies. There was one that I got.
Yeah.
Actually, there was one I booked literally right the day that I left to go do One Voice volunteering that day. So
I used to do a live auction for a crypto company. Did a live auction. It was in a virtual room, and each person had their little cartoon character. And they developed one for me, and I was in a white suit with a cowboy hat.
of course you
And
were.
Nice.
I would live auction, and they paid me bank to do that. Really good money. They did it every Friday night for about 3 months, and
How
then
long?
they
Give us a little
They
taste.
cut
Give
it
us
off.
a little taste, Troy.
Hey, 25 to 30 to 5, 5 to 35 and 40 and 5 now 50. It was stuff like that. But they were selling those
I
what
feel
are
like
those
you
things?
could call horse
I
races.
feel like I
Doug.
just bought a.
What are those
full
things
car.
oh crap, what are those things that they make and they sell them? I
NFTs?
forget.
Yeah,
NFTs.
yeah,
They were
yeah.
selling
Yeah.
NFTs.
Yep.
So some of them were just digital, but some of them were like cast, like metal and things. They'd
Mhm.
really made them,
Uh-huh.
and you actually got the physical NFT. And it was Ravencoin is who I was doing it for.
Mhm.
And there was stuff on there at times. It was crazy because I didn't know the dollar to Ravencoin
Right.
ratio
Yeah.
the first sale. So I'm auctioning stuff off at $30, $40, $50,000, 50,000. And I had to learn to say 50,000 Raven and how about 51 Raven, 52,
Oh.
53 Raven. I couldn't
Oh,
say
yeah,
dollars,
yeah.
$50
Right,
bill,
yeah,
$50
yeah.
bill.
It's weird in the
So
mouth.
I got
doesn't it?
used to doing it and I could do it.
That's
It
so
was
cool.
crazy. And then I looked it up, and one of those NFTs that night sold literally for $5,000
in Raven.
in
Dang.
U.S. money.
Yeah, yeah.
$5,000 US
Oh, wow.
dollars.
Biggins.
And the Raven was like I don't know, 100,000, 130,000. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Holy moly, got another Raven.
I did a golf. I did a golf one.
Hey.
Like a golf equipment, like something that, like a resistance band. I did a voice video sales letter for that. I did like a health powder, like a mushroom compound. I had to name all these 9 different mushrooms that were in the powder mix and all that. That was a little bit weird.
Are you usually a doctor? Do you get those where you're the doctor, you're the scientist?
Yeah.
I've done a few.
I think
of those.
I was a golf pro in the other one. And my students, have, learned from this, and they, their drives go 50 yards farther or whatever. I don't know. I don't remember what it was.
Right.
Been a while back.
Right.
Nice.
Crazy.
It wasn't a
When you see your
VSL.
students out driving you.
Yeah.
It wasn't a VSL, but I did a thing for Mojo Baseball.
Okay.
And it's an app for kids. Well, it's actually an app for parents that have either got roped into being a coach for baseball for their little league team, or that volunteer, but they don't really know. They played baseball, but they just don't know how to coach. They don't know drills, and they don't know that stuff. And I did a bunch of little. Basically, they pull up in the app and they say, I want to learn how. I want to learn a drill to teach my kids how to be more accurate at throwing to shortstop or to first base. And then they'll pull it up, and it's like, this is called road rash, and that's the name of the drill, or this is called hot shot. And it's like, first, what you do is you get your bag of balls, go to the mound, and then have your kids line up on the side, 4 feet apart from the wall. Right. And there's a bunch of those in there, and it was really fun to do.
That's fun.
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
I've done tinnitus. I've done poor vision. I've done arthritis. And
pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have not gotten to do that yet.
So I feel like
I know why I'm
80
obsessed
times
with that.
a day.
I just hear
It's constant.
I just hear it so much.
Pneumococcal pneumonia and Life Alert are the big ones that you want to aim for.
And what's the RSV? Is it RSV?
Yeah.
Is that what they call the RSV something virus?
I think the video sales
Everybody's
letters
got it having it.
I don't know. For me, I always feel the dirtiest after those jobs.
I do too.
Oh,
never done one.
I have one that so this is when I first started. I won't say the name of the male enhancement product. Okay.
Tell me you used a lot of vocal fry.
Yeah. No lights were on in the booth. And it was crazy. And it was like a 40-minute video. Because it was one of those, like, you see the first, like, 30 seconds, and then you just keep watching. And, these are usually little advertisements that pop up late at night or very, very, very early in the morning. Yeah. And it was basically how, like, it was crazy because the wording that they used made the listener feel insufficient. Oof. Like, it's all scripted. It's written to make you feel bad. They want you to make you feel bad that all these other that women only like this thing, and that these kind of men that have this thing are naturally have
this thing. We're talking about beards.
They're living the life, and you're the loser guy that's eating pizza by yourself at home, and while all these other people are out there having fun. And doing what they want, and it's kind of crazy. And I felt pretty scummy after I did it. They paid me fantastically well for it, and it was
I know the feeling.
It was,
I always feel like when I do
things.
those, and I'm ripping off old people, because I feel like that's probably who are getting targeted with the tinnitus and the arthritis and the vision failing, and they're ordering this organic crappy thing, and somehow they talk them into buying the 90 days because it's so much cheaper. You get all these capsules. And we could run out at any time because this one ingredient's getting harder and harder to find.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I mean, I guess that comes down to an ethical line in our
absolutely.
business.
It does.
And that line is different for everybody.
Yeah.
I think that there was a political spot that came in the other day, and it was just smashing this person. And this is this is like a worldwide superstar. And they were endorsing some candidate, and they were saying all this stuff about him, like bad stuff. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not even going to touch that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, and it doesn't even matter what side of the aisle you're on. You're just like, whoa, that's too much, you know?
Yeah. Don't treat people like this regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had my first political skip this morning.
Oh yeah.
And I've been seeing a lot of stuff on the pay to plays that were a fit. You know, they were a really good fit. It was right up, what I would typically do. And I'm auditioning for those, and I've booked a couple, but I had one this morning come in, or I saw it was for the opposite side. And I'm like, can't do that.
Yeah.
Because could I? Sure. I could have done it, but I'm trying to. I'm seeing that you're supposed to stick to one side.
Wouldn't that be a trip though? If you were a production company and you hired somebody to do a voiceover, and let's say it was for Far Left, right? And then they put the ad out, but then for that same candidate, another production house, they ended up doing a counter ad for that in the same market, but then they hired you. So then when they listen, they're like, wait a minute, this is the same guy talking.
That's why.
Yeah.
This is the first full term thing that I've been through, because 2020 or 2019, I was not doing this. And so I had always been told the last few years, you can do either side. As long as it's not anything terrible, you can do either side. But here lately, you're hearing a lot of, no, you shouldn't, because of that exact reason, that the market is too, the candidate does not want you to voice for the other side.
That makes sense.
And I know if you're doing gubernatorial stuff, if you're doing some higher level stuff, now if it's your local guy running for school board and city council and things like that, you can probably, in different towns and different areas, nobody's going to hear. You're not going to cross up. But we see now where we're at, we see a lot of presidential primary things. Well, you don't want to do one in Idaho for one side, and then the next day you see the audition for the other side and you do it. And like Charles said, 2 different production companies. What if you book both, and then they're playing the same commercial or both commercials on one radio station, and they hear it? You're going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
You're going to get popped.
I would think so.
But the thing is, will you though? Will you get in trouble?
Well, not trouble. You could put yourself in a blackball situation.
Yeah. Well, maybe with those 2.
Yeah.
But
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's risky. And then again, sometimes I wonder who makes the rules for this.
I wish the production house.
Who do we really have to follow everybody else's rules that we're being told to follow?
I do wish the production house on those political ones would say, listen, if you've done X candidate and X candidate, please don't audition for this. If they know there's going to be a conflict,
they could.
In that region, in that voting district, they want your voice alone. They want yours not to stand out for that candidate and not blend into the other commercials.
Sure. Well,
and I love how we have tied
we kind of
politics together.
I was going to say,
really good.
Yeah, talking about tying in another thing, you talked about risky. Okay, so there's NDAs, right?
Yeah.
We've all signed them. We sign them all the time. Now
I can't talk about that.
If there's specific, if there's specific wording in the NDA that says you cannot share this with anybody, right? Once it goes out, once it's in public, once it's on a YouTube commercial, they put it on their YouTube channel, whatever that is. Does that still fall into place?
I don't think so. If it's public facing, you can use it.
Yeah, once it's public facing, you're okay.
Yeah, you're good. And besides, like, you should, if in those situations, if you can, I know pay to plays are a little different, but like you should always like include that in your contract that you have with someone, like, and it's like a yes or no option for them to fill out. Like, can Voice Talent use the product and or logo for their portfolio and website. And I've had people say no because it was an internal thing and it included sensitive information, and I had to sign an NDA for that. And I mean, you just have to respect that.
Right.
But yeah, if it's public facing, go throw it up on your website, throw it up on your social.
Public use is public use.
Okay, so then
should be fine.
I guess another question is, I have a strategy. I want to know what you guys' strategy is. Or like the steps you take to get a copy of the final production spot that you voiced from a client.
I send them an audio bite that says, where is it? No, no. I mean, just try to be.
Give
I always
me
try
the
to,
files.
Yeah,
they just
try to
open
be
it up and
polite.
it's just that.
You have better luck than I have, Charles. You get a lot of yours.
We also know how Charles interacts with people. He's a smoozer, man. He knows how to use
everybody
his
wants
words.
to make Charles
he's
happy.
real good at it. I know, man. Like.
That's how I got you guys.
I so wanted, and you guys remember, it's been several months. I did Toby Keith's "I Love This Bar" spot out in Oklahoma, and of course, we found out this week, you know, he's passed away, and I'd love to have had that spot. I mean, I'd love to have had it.
You can't find it, can
and
you?
I keep going back and asking, and you know, it was booked through one of the platforms, and I'll send messages, never get replies. I've tried to reach out to them. I've tried to research production companies in that area that possibly did the spot. I can't. I can't find them.
I can't get a downloadable version of that Gold Telly Award-winning spot, and I can't put it. I say spot, little narration thing, and that I can't put on my website. The only one I closest I have to is a link to a thing I can't download. You know, so I have to figure that out.
But you can play it. You can play it on your screen, though, right?
Yeah.
So you send me the link.
Screen grab.
And if you pay for YouTube Premium, you get it all in 4K.
It's not on YouTube, unfortunately. And again, the mixing's kind of bad, so it's one of those things where it's like, well, do I really want to show people
that's
this?
the stinger. I've actually gotten something back from a client, and they're like, "Okay, here you go," and I'm like, "Thanks, man, I appreciate it." And I look at it, I'm like, "Dang, this thing's horrible."
I know.
Yeah,
like, and it's not even my fault.
What do they do to my voice?
Right.
Like it's
if
so
it's
bad.
compression. Yeah, if it's compression, you can't really uncompress. But like in Filmora, you can split the audio off the video, dump it into Excel, and doctor it and work on it in RX and make it a little better. But if it's overcompressed, there's not a heck of a lot you can do.
Yeah. So,
but if it's just like I can't hear my voice, you can actually do some things with it to help that.
Yeah.
I mean, I just really try to ask people when I say, hey, you know, like after I turn it in, I let them know, like, hey, I'm around if you need me to make any changes. If you are satisfied, here's my, review link. If you could leave me a review, that'd be dope. And if it's all possible, could I get a copy of the thing? And if they go quiet, then I wait for the payment to come through, and then I'll just let them know, hey, I got the payment. Wanted to reach out again and ask, though, if I could have a copy of the finished product. And then sometimes they will, and then sometimes I just have to go look up on YouTube or something, or I'll go to their website and look at like if they have a Vimeo page or something, because sometimes you can download stuff from their Vimeo pages.
I can't. It seems to me the higher or better the project is, the harder it's been to get for me.
Yeah,
for some reason, because most of my Fiverr people, which I'm not saying Fiverr is bad clients, these are good clients. These are some nice spots. I've gotten some really, really nice samples. From some of those. I was working on one yesterday. It was a country music thing for talking about substance abuse and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, how they needed to say country people or people of substance, not substance abusers. It was a really neat thing. Wow. And it starts off on the front of it. It's a CBS Evening News lead in. So I'm like, Jesus, is this going to go on there? You know, I don't know. I was asking the guy after the fact, but I mean, he paid me properly for what it was for an in-show narration thing, and it was short. But he's already sent me a couple of cuts where they're working on it and making some changes. And hey, could you change this or say this a different way or whatever? And I did that yesterday. But I got to see the whole thing already. And those, it seems like that kind of stuff, it's pretty easy to reach out and get because you work closer with the people. When you do a directed session and it goes away and you don't know, if you don't get the name of the production company and the people and who was this, I've gone back to my agents several times and says, is there any way you could maybe find out, or I just didn't get a name of, and it's kind of like crickets, you know, it's like, no, we got
time passes by and then you won't even remember that you did that project. you know?
Yeah. I never saw the Yellowwood thing. I heard other people say they saw it on TV and whatever, and I never got to see it. The Pfizer thing's was out for 3 months. I never heard it, never on the radio. It was regionally played in the Southeast. I never heard it because I don't listen to those. Probably.
Well, I love that when they cooperate and they send you the project, oftentimes they're anxious to do so because you were a part of their team making that project come to life.
Yeah.
And so you're a team member getting to see the end result. And, we don't always get to feel that way when we work in voiceover. We feel like, I don't know, like we're used.
A one-man show.
Yeah. Well, we're just pulled in to do a read and then we're done and, cast us off.
True.
True. I think that's why it's really important on creating that relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Jake said, like get on a Zoom call with them. When I coached with Brad told me, he's like, get on a Zoom call with them. It's like, if you make that connection and that will help you in more ways, it'll help you to build a bond with them. It'll help you to build trust with them. They know you, they feel comfortable with you. Your chances of getting called back on a different project because they have your contact information and they know you and they talk to you. They've worked with you and seen you is better. Them sending you a copy of the final spot is also better. And also the verbiage that I use is, I always said that if I was going to write a book, I would write a book on how to get what you want from customer service when you call into customer service lines. And it would be a 1-page book. And you'd open it up and it would say, be nice, and make them feel like they have the power and they're the only ones that can help you. And you're going to appreciate that help. And that's kind of how, when I ask for spots, I just say, hey, thanks. It was great working together, this and that. And be like, I'd love to see the spot when it's done. And then I put in there, if you're not allowed, I use those words. If you're not allowed to share it, I totally understand. Right? No problem. But if you can, it'll be great because it's always a treat to, kind of see it when it all comes together from the VO side. And I'm being honest, it is a treat. It's wonderful when you can get your spot. But I think the verbiage that I use, it lets them feel empowered. Like, like I can do that. I'll help you if they can, if they're allowed to. If there's no, because if there's something that they can't share, they can't share it, and they'll just tell you. But if there's nothing there and they can just share it with you, well, they just helped you out. You just made this guy's day.
I think the benefit for them is we get to see what they had as their vision all along. Because in a directed session, we get the idea this should be inspirational. This should be, tug on their heartstrings or whatever. We get that, but we don't always. We never see where they're going. So I remember I did a USA Hockey on a live direction, and the director was so great. She said something about, I want to see like a bald eagle flying overhead when you're reading this, and she used great images to, help me kind of get that inspiring, this is us. This is the team standing on the Olympic stage, winning the gold medal. And that's awesome. It was cool. But we get to see the end vision. So we get to start to think like them when they hire us for the next project. We're like, oh yeah, this is what they had envisioned for that project. Let me see if I can get on the same wavelength through this directed session and see where they're going.
And, if you're clicking with them, right, they're kind of painting this picture for you and you can see the picture. You're like, yeah. And then it just clicks and you work. They also know for the future, even if it's for something that's totally left field of what you did the first job with them, as long as they know that, they're going to be like, yeah, I worked with Alden before and I painted the picture and he saw the picture. So I'm going to, I trust him. I know that he can catch on. We're going to be locked in the same wavelength and he's going to do a good job for me this time. So let's call Alden. You know what I mean? Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Oh, show.
All right, y'all, we're moving up on almost 50 minutes. And I have to get some tax stuff done probably.
Hey, we spent a good half episode on tax stuff though, which is more than our expertise should have gone, but hopefully we raised all the questions that they need to be raising for their accountants or whoever prepares the taxes for them.
Where else?
Yeah.
Where else can you get taxes, business 101, how to get samples? Where do you get all this all in one episode? Nowhere. Only here.
Where do you get tax information that you should not follow and consult a professional?
The internet.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's
here
right.
this podcast.
Well, yeah, we're in the trenches. Like Linda Bruno said about us, we're in the trenches.
Yeah, we
That's
are.
right.
We are.
And
it's not a bad
That's
place.
right.
Especially with you guys and for everybody else that's listening, we're in an accountability group also together.
Nobody I'd rather be in the trenches
it's not a bad
with.
place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're coming, if any of you guys out there are coming to VO Atlanta, please be sure Charles and I get to meet you.
Yeah.
We'll both be there, and we look forward to seeing everybody.
And tell them how much you like Jake and Alden.
Yeah,
because we will not be there. So make sure you tell them that you love
spirit.
us and that seeing them is cool, but you wish we were there. So.
Right.
Yeah, but and hopefully three of the four of us possibly will be at One Voice. We know a couple of us will, but maybe three.
I mean, if everything works out, I should be at One Voice. So
Sweet.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Sweet.
Awesome.
All right. Well, fellas.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for listening to another VO podcast, and we'll see you on the next one.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of It's Another VO Podcast. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. You can also email us your questions to anothervopodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram at Another VO Podcast. See you next time.